Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs. Hey, how you doing? It's Todd. I just wanted to let you guys know this episode is actually coming out a week earlier, and the next episode is coming out a week later. We had to mix them up for some technical reasons, but hopefully you'll be able to sleep at night. Anyways, enjoy the episode.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Oh,
What?
Billy, so
What?
happy to have you back. Billy's been away for a long time, everybody, but he's a very busy boy. He's got like 6 bands. He's a famous artist. He's, doing all the things. He's going to Vegas. He's going to the Bahamas. He's going all the things. But I'm glad you're here because we got a very special person. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Nerds Podcast. I'm not the special person, but we are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show because we are going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my musical heart, the Dandy Warhols, because we have the one and only. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
This is Peter Holmstrom.
Oh, yes. We've got Peter Holmstrom, guitarist and co-founder of Dandy Warhols, among several other things we're going to talk about. We're really, really excited. Peter, so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I hope
Nice.
so. I hope we don't disappoint. Tony does sometimes, but we forgive him for that.
I'm an old man.
We need to do a huge shout out to our friends at Divine Noise for hooking us up. They heard us talking about you on the podcast, and they said, "Hey, we can hook you up." And here you are, poof, like magic.
Yeah.
And that was right after you and I saw the Dandy Warhols
In
here
Columbus. That's correct.
Smoking great show.
Yep.
We had such a good time.
Was that our album release day or was that the next day? I can't remember.
I think the album release might have been the next day because.
Oh, okay.
But it was still great.
Yes. And speaking of that album release, where can people go find the things that you're doing, Peter?
I believe it's everywhere. All the streaming services for sure. Even better yet, your local record stores.
Yeah.
On vinyl and CD.
And the new record's called
Rockmaker.
Rockmaker. We're going to talk about that and all kinds of stuff about Peter and the Dandy Warhols. Lots of great show coming for you right now. And we're going to start off real quick. We do have one announcement. As you know, everybody, we have been giving away these warm audio pedals. They gave us 7 pedals to give away. And we've been selecting some very, very lucky supporters from Patreon. That's who we give our stuff to. When we get stuff, we give it to our Patreon supporters because they deserve it. I would love to give them stuff every day. Every day I wish I could give something away to our supporters. But today we will have given away this warm audio Mutation Phaser 2. This is their take on the Mutron Phaser 2, and it is an absolutely gorgeous pedal, and it sounds so lush. Really, really good job on that, Warm. So that is going to Richard Kendall. You may have already seen that announcement, but I'm just announcing it again. So
Lucky man.
and then the week after that, we're going to give another one away. So, Peter, sorry I wasn't able to give that to you, but you probably have one of your own.
I have a biphase. I don't have the phase 2, but biphase, that works.
Yeah, that'll get the job done. Anyway, so thank you to Warm Audio for hooking us up with that very special gift box that we get to give away. Onward and upward, everybody. We need to get through, what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to start off with Tanya Bolonsky. He's going to tell us what's going on, and then Peter's going to give us a little tidbit of what maybe he might been experiencing so far. Tanya, how about yourself?
Well, this week, actually, I've been up in my hometown of Youngstown, Ohio, and one of my best buddies Pat Murray owns a company called Coop Guitars. He makes some really great, fantastic guitars. So I had a chance to hang out with him for a couple of days, and I'm actually bringing a couple of guitars back to Columbus with me for some of his customers. But it's always fun to see how people are actually he's making bodies and making necks, and it's not like he's buying bits and pieces and screwing them together. He's doing this from start to finish. So and his real specialty is kind of making relic finishes or restoring vintage instruments and things like that too. So it's always fun to see what shows up in his shop here, and then get to be able to manhandle the stuff a little bit too.
Excellent. Yes.
Nice. Did you make it over to West Side Bowl?
I've been there before. Yeah. That's a great club. That's
a cool music venue.
Actually, I'm on the west
it's a bowling
side.
alley,
West
a pizza shop,
Yeah.
and 2 live stages.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I've seen some shows there, and for a bowling alley, the acoustics inside that place are incredible. I don't know how they do it, and then you got people playing, bowling in the background too, which that's always kind of.
I think
fun.
that would make a cool tour. To just do bowling
alleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great one in Costa Mesa area down in California where I grew up. That was just had killer bands all the time. It was a great place. Peter, I imagine you got some great bowling alley venues up there.
Yeah, there's a couple around here. I haven't been in a while though. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you're playing bigger places. We understand that.
I don't think you can play any of the bowling alleys that we have.
Okay.
So I had never experienced that until Minneapolis with Bryant Street.
Oh yeah.
Bryant Lake Bowl. Yeah.
I lived there too. I should do the bowling alley tour.
Yeah. I think you should invest.
I think you'd be better. Yeah. You'd be better in the bocce court.
Just open up a chain of bowling alley live music venues.
Now, Peter, you're calling from Portland, right? Yeah. You know what? On my way in, earlier today I listened to an interview with Andy Bell of Ride and Oasis and whatever, a couple other things he's been in, and they've got a double, I think a new double album out, and one of the songs that was really good was called, I believe it's called Portland Rocks.
Really?
Yeah, it's super good.
How did I miss that?
Brand new release, double album.
Yeah. I thought I'd listened. Maybe I didn't pay attention to song titles. I thought I'd heard the whole thing. Crazy.
Yeah.
We share a front of house engineer and a guitar tech, or I think my guitar tech's doing bass tech for them. So yeah, luckily our schedules are kind of working out this year.
Nice.
There isn't any overlap, but yeah, those guys are great. I love them.
It's a lot. That's a lot of music they just put in there. The album's called Interplay, by the way. It's got a beautiful cover. It's like, yes, this, and that's right up against all this great music is just. I feel like I'm getting bombed in a good way. You guys released an album. Ride just released an album. 2 of my absolute favorites in the whole world, Liam Gallagher and John Squire. That album is incredible. It's all my good music is coming at me right now, and I'm happy. So, anyways, what is going on in your music world this week? Something, a little tidbit.
Going on this week?
Yeah.
Gear wise or something else?
Gear, music, any of that stuff. Just a little something.
What's been on your plate?
Gear wise, I got a delivery from Death by Audio this last week. I finally got their disturbance kind of phaser flanger thing, filter pedal, and the Room's reverb, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, the Rooms is great.
That thing is out of control. I'd been using some of their effects in the studio, and it's always a treat. Other than that, it's kind of mainly been sort of rehearsing by myself for our Australian tour, which I leave on Thursday. So
cool. We were lucky to get you in before that.
Yeah, perfect, nice timing, all worked out. I've been using that Ruby pedal, the Universal Audio. Just like instead of like plugging amps in and trying to hear all of that through I don't know, trying to play the record back and then play along. So now it's so easy with the Ruby pedal. It's just perfect.
Right. And that's loosely based on a Vox, right?
Yeah, that's the AC30 kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll get into I know that's a big part of your life, so we'll dip deeper into that when we roll around to the interview part. Well, thank you for sharing that. Billy, how about yourself?
Hey, I've just been had my hands full on everything, but something I wanted to mention that's been really cool is way back at the Ohio Guitar Show, I got a Vox Mark 9. It's a 9-string guitar.
The 9-string. Sweet.
Yeah.
I remember. Yep.
The low strings are just single strings, and then the top 3 strings are doubled. So you have
really the G's the only octave one, right?
Yeah. So the G string is the only octave. That's correct. The others are just doubled. Yeah.
Wow.
The E and the B are doubled.
So are you gonna try to use that in what?
Well, we've written some new songs with the Mathematics.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of like a New York Dollsy kind of
it's a punk band, and it's kind of old school rock and roll vibe to it, glam punk, whatever. And I'm trying to simplify solos and just be more, create a simple melody line.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of,
well, naturally
trying to
use a
wheelie
9-string
over
guitar
everything.
for that.
Yeah.
Much easier to bend.
The sitar is just way too hard to mic. I get it.
Well, in the studio, I used a baritone. I have a baritone telly with a.
Isn't one of them right there?
No, it's out in the car actually, locked up, covered up.
You might want to get that.
Anyway. But it has a Jazzmaster tremolo on it, because I like that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I also just picked up a Eastwood baritone, which is modeled after an old Mosrite.
Yeah.
So and it's like a seafoam green with white binding.
Cool.
And it actually had one of those crazy Duesenberg tremolos on it.
Oh yeah, we like the Duesenbergs.
Yeah. So,
dude, I love mine. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's cool. All right.
That's my world.
So you're liking the Vox 9, right?
I absolutely am. It's a cool sound. It's got a really hefty single coil pickup in it. It's just slightly microphonic when you're running it through the souped up distortion that I have. But so I'm trying to figure out a way around that. I don't want to have to replace the pickups, but we'll see.
Well, here's a tip. A standard Strat pickup will fit underneath the Vox cover.
I know that, and the reason I know that is I have one of those trapezoid shaped things, whatever it is, and it had the pickup replaced with a Strat.
Phantom.
Yeah, Phantom. Yeah. I'm not keen on a Strat pickup though. It's a little bit too bright. Yeah, I need something. Maybe if it was a fat one. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those.
You know who does
side
the
by
fat
side?
ones?
I don't know. Yeah,
Brandon One does some fat ones.
Well, that's true.
You can get him some rails.
Yeah,
you can do the rails.
Yeah, I haven't gone that route yet.
But. That's very cool. Very cool indeed. Thank you for sharing that. This week,
What about you, Todd?
Well, I got to do a little bit of pedal repair on just I had a pedal that went a little sideways on me, and I had to sort that out. So that's kind of fun, just pulling out all the pedally repairy bits. And right in the middle of it, my soldering iron died. Did well. Actually, the unit itself is good, but the pen, no heat. Nothing. Won't melt anything. The thing's on at 700 degrees. Can't melt the damn thing. So, so I got to replace that. And then the other thing that I got to do, which was a ton of fun, and my ears were just absolutely ringing after it. No, Billy. I did. I was just kind of doing a little fuzz shootout because I have a new song that I'm doing. I'm like, ooh, which one do I want to use for this? So I pulled out the Northern Creeper, the new wedge, then the wedge enclosure from Daredevil. I got number 1 on that. Ooh. How cool is that?
Wow.
And then the Strymon, not the Strymon, the Stromer, who was just on our show, his Super Fuzz, which is also in a wedge.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
And let's see. Wait, did I just hear Peter? Are you familiar with that? The Stromer?
Stromer? Yeah. I don't have one. I almost pulled the trigger, and then I sort of like realized I have like 6 different variations of the Super Fuzz, and probably don't need another one, even though I want another one.
Yes, you do.
I'd like to play one just as before I buy, but. I don't know. They'll cross my path at some point.
Yeah. You know what? I think it probably will. All right. And then lastly, I tried out the fez pedal that we made for our patrons, and I was like, oh, this is rough. This is tough. This is one heck of a shootout. I still don't know where I'm going to land on this one for this particular song, but that was that's a fun time. Fuzz shootout? Why not? Anyhow,
nice.
You know what you need to string those pedals up, don't you, Billy?
I do.
Yes. Cables. Specifically, Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
That's right.
They are the slimmest, the sleekest, the arguably most affordable, arguably most indestructible patch cables that we've ever run across.
Yeah.
And they come in all the different lengths from 3 inches to I think 27 inches.
Yeah, Tour Gear is what I've got, man.
Yep. And those little plugs in the back, if you're tired of messing around with the pancake patch cables that jam up next to each other and pinch off the little 9-volt power supply and all that business, that's a pain in the butt. Just get these. It'll be better. Oh. And Tony, what happens if they go put those in their cart?
Well, they put them in their cart, and then there's a little thing that says coupon code. If you put in the guitar knobs, all lowercase, all one word, you're going to save an extra 15. That's 15%.
That's great. I like that very much. Indeed. So thank you to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. Peter, what is your 4 on the floor?
Oh boy, the tough question of choosing. I essentially to do a show, I have to have a big muff of some variation, a rat of some variation, a delay, and I don't know, reverb.
Okay.
No, maybe modulation. Maybe modulation. Let's say modulation.
Okay.
So currently, what I'm doing for the big muff, I have the Wren and Cuff De La Riva. The one with the I don't know, 30 different little dip switches.
It's incredible.
It's like 2 Tech 21s in one.
Yeah, it's insane the number of little combinations you can come up with. But of course, I found my sound and have stuck with that since I got it, and I do not touch it. And it's, to me, is the best sounding Big Muff thing that I've used, and partially just because it's got the option to take the tone control out.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it just becomes massive. I don't really understand why that works, but it's amazing. And I have an EQ in a programmable EQ in my pedal board, so I just use that to adjust for whatever song. But that pedal is definitely one that's going to be very, very, very hard to replace.
Yeah.
So it will probably be with me for the rest of my touring career.
Nice.
We had Ren and Keff on a couple of years ago, and he had just come out with that, and that was almost. I was kind of at the height of all the Strymon stuff, and he kind of he out Strymon with a fuzz. It was like, how is that possible?
Right. Yeah. He's a super cool guy. I invited him down to our show last time we were in LA, and he was unable to make it, but his kid came along.
Oh, that's cool.
And brought more Big Muff pedals. So I now have even more. They all sound amazing, but yeah.
Cool. How about number 2?
Cool. So yeah, the rat variation is actually a rat this time, an actual one. But it's the rack mount version, the R2DU. And I've took it out of its box that weighs, about 20 pounds, and just put it in a little aluminum thing, and they're wired separately. And since I use a switching system, I can use both of them and have them set different. But yeah, the Rat was one of the first pedals I ever got. I believe that I read in some magazine when I was in high school that Steve Stevens used one, and I wanted. And so when I bought my first pedal, it was a Rat. And I've still got that one, and it was on my board forever. But they're just too big. They take up too much space.
Yeah. Well, naturally, so you get a rack mount,
Yeah. So yeah, but I not mounted in a rack. It's all the pedal board now, but it's like the actual board inside that rack, or the rack thing is quite small. I mean, big for pedals, but I have it mounted under the switcher, so
that's cool.
Cool.
It's unused space anyway. So
nice.
Yeah.
What about number 3?
The delay is going to be the Strymon Timeline. It's one of 3 delays on my board, but it's the one that's it's just, for some reason, their I don't know, their operating system made sense to my brain instantly, and I was able to program sounds that worked for me very easily and quickly, and could find anything I want, and it just made sense. I tried the Eventide. What was their one called?
Oh,
the H9?
The H9.
No, before that.
Okay.
Like Time Factor or something.
Oh, yeah.
No. Yeah. Anyway, something like that. And I just, that one made no sense to me, but it sounded great, but I couldn't do anything with it. And the Strymon is just perfect, super easy. I kind of maybe prefer some of the things that my Boss delays can do, but ultimately that Strymon it does it all.
We just had the inventors of that stuff. Now they run Maris on the show. Just had them. And we basically got their newer versions of some of the stuff that we're talking about. all of it still sounds incredible. I mean, there's very accomplished people behind all of that stuff. What do you got for number 4?
I'm fascinated by the people that build this stuff.
Oh yeah,
how their brains work, because it's very different from mine.
Well, that's why we do the show, actually.
Yeah. You guys get to talk to everybody. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is, and it's just neat. You know, creativity is it comes in so many vehicles, and you know, whether it's somebody who's writing music or somebody who's just like a really dang good engineer or whatever. But it's just we love hearing the stories about that.
Yeah.
How about number 4?
Number 4, I'm gonna go with the Zoya by Empress.
Holy mackerel! That's the only one that we've ever waved the white flag on.
Really?
Yeah, they sent it to us, and we sent it back with a "I'm sorry" note on. It's like, well,
really?
Yeah, it stymied us. Honestly, it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It made perfect sense to me, and it's like, well, as a multi effects unit, that's the extent of what I use it for, and mainly just the modulation stuff.
Yeah.
But it like I don't know, the whole, like, all the little buttons, and you just have to learn how to put a patch together, and once you've got that, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Worked for my brain.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's like it's cool because you can put like you can have an envelope affect certain factor or certain things on other effects. So you can like control the speed of a tremolo with the envelope. So the harder you hit, the faster it goes. And that's something that I'd gotten used to with a Spaceman tremolo, the Voyager.
Yeah.
And I really liked, and I couldn't find anybody else that did that. I'm sure there is, but as far as like a multi kind of modulation pedal, I couldn't find somebody that did that, or that had that option. Like Strymon didn't have that option on their Mobius. And so it's like there's little things like that, and it's like dialing in every part of your effect. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, we felt like doofuses. I gotta admit that, because I was like, but I had to be honest. I'm like, this one's over my head, guys. It looked cool though.
It's amazing, and it's, you know, I could probably do the whole show with just that, but that wouldn't be as much fun.
No.
But it does do everything. It's amazing, and it does so much more than what I use it for. It's kind of embarrassing how much more it does that I will not ever tap into. Just don't have the time.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You know, those pedals that do that much. If you just say, oh, but it does all these things, but you don't use it. Yeah, you're using it for the thing that you need it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm always on the quest for things that do more, better, and are smaller and way less. And it's going to be hard for anybody to beat that pedal when it comes to that. Yeah.
It's like if you have a Swiss Army knife, guess what? You can use it for a doorstop. It's still doing a job.
So is it better than the Ibanez DML-10?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, it's way better than that. Okay. He just pulled up
it's my modulation pedal that I'm so proud of. Yeah.
The old 10
I'm
series.
not so proud anymore.
He's like,
well, I mean, supposedly you can dial in like your exact sounds from all the different pedals, and it's like I still have not got it to do the small stone as good as my small stone, and I very attached to my old like stereo DoD flanger, and I can't get it to sound close to that. But that's something that I'm sure nobody else has wanted to clone. So, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
that's a really good 4 on the floor. Now, I know any fans of yours who have followed you, and maybe even people that have just maybe heard your music. Obviously, you have a lot more effects than that on your rig on any given day. We're going to dip into that for sure.
Cool.
Let's motor on to the said interview part. We don't have any kind of like ta-da thing or anything. I just say interview part really quick.
And there we go.
Yeah. So you let's start with where Weep left you last. How about that? So you were just in Columbus. Okay. You just played this fantastic show, and Tony and I were up front, stage left. No, stage right. Sorry. And
did you see us?
Yeah, did you see us from way over from the other side? Yeah, that's the only place that wasn't packed. Your side was pretty packed there, Peter. Peter has a packed side on this stage. We couldn't make our way over there.
Zia gets the packed side usually.
Yeah, well, I think we must have maybe slipped in. But, Tony and I we immediately were like, what's going on? What was he playing? Where were these amps? So I know Tony's dying to ask you some questions here. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll go a little wider.
Okay. Yeah. So after the show, I did a deep dive, and there's plenty of great stuff on the internet as we found. But I immediately fell in love, as I'm sure you fell in love with the Cole Super Cubs that you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're as we talked about it a little bit, they're kind of jazz master-ish, but better.
Yeah, it's funny. He didn't base them on a jazz master. It just ended up with that trem on a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so that it has that's definitely part of why I like them. The Jazz Master and the Jaguar are like some of my main studio guitars. Yeah, so it's like that trem, like whatever pickups I wanted to put in them, and I asked for a couple like slight variations. I mean, it's all custom, so it's that's not a big deal. But I wanted mahogany body and neck, and then the sort of 25-inch scale as opposed to the shorter scale, which I think he was using.
And you had Curtis Novak wide ranges put in?
In one of them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was in my original one was the black one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that has the wide range, which I had a Tele thin line that was my main guitar for a bit that has the best sounding wide range pickup in it, I think. And Curtis comes close.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know what's special about mine. It's probably got nothing to do with the pickup. But I don't know. There's something about it.
That's the creamsicle.
Yeah.
Tele thin line. Yeah. And were those original pickups in there?
The neck one is original. The bridge one is a replacement that I found. It's an old one though.
Okay. Yeah. And Fender not too long ago just released the true Cuneife magnet versions, which are I haven't heard them yet myself, but they're supposed to be pretty good. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Curtis too. The stuff that he does is just so. I mean, he's the minute details that he goes to get things right.
Yeah,
just blow me away every time.
Yeah.
We spent.
He's the sweetest person too. You should have him on your show if you haven't already.
We're trying to.
Okay.
This was back a couple of NAMM shows. Well, pre-pandemic NAMM shows, and we actually had dinner with him and his family. And,
we spent a weekend one night with him eating dinner.
I said, why didn't we bring the recording gear? Because we could have had the podcast right here in this restaurant.
Yeah.
But no, he's a great guy, and hopefully at some point our paths will cross when the stars align and all the other good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you had a couple of the Cubs in line there. It almost looked like, granted, we were trying to see from across the opposite side of the stage, but it almost seemed like it was almost all Cubs, except for your creamsicle and the baritone, I believe.
Well, no, the creamsicle doesn't come out anymore. But there is an orange Cub.
Okay.
And there's four at the moment.
Okay.
Nice.
And I have to kind of cut myself off because I don't need more. But
yes, come on! You always need
yes,
more.
Need, want,
If you're ever debating, if you ever have that little angel on your left shoulder saying you don't need him, just call us. We will take care of that for you.
We'll talk you into it, no problem.
Yeah.
And then the amps that you're currently playing, because I know you used to use AC 30s?
Yeah, AC 30s.
And these are the Sour Sound 15s. Tell us about those.
So Brian was like a local repair guy here in Portland, Brian Sowers. And he was always making cool stuff like mic pre's and like studio gear kind of things that I always wanted and was always getting on the waiting list for, and then he would move on to building something else, and that would never happen. He built some amazing amps for Helio Sequence and Modest Mouse and probably a bunch of other people, but I got to play one of Isaac's, and it was amazing. It was so the EQ section was so just controllable that it was just super fun to just play, just hit a chord and then twist the knob. And so but it's like I didn't need the 100-watt monstrosity that it was for what we do, because the AC 30s are too loud for the Dandies.
Yep.
So I convinced him with the help of somebody else, I forget who, to make a small 112 combo, and it's based very loosely on a AC 15 and a Gibson GA 40, somewhere in there, but it's a completely unique original circuit. Yeah. They're phenomenal. I wish he kept making them, because I would like to have more. So I didn't have to rent AC 30s everywhere. But I do love AC 30s.
So is that what you'll be? Are you using AC 30s on the Australian leg of the tour?
Yeah, I can't take my own amps. And so yeah, we rent AC 30s everywhere we go. Courtney does too. He has a very peculiar amp that he uses in the US, and I think he's planning on shipping a few to Europe to store with our gear in the UK, just so he can at least have them there. But
now, does that pose a problem? Actually, this is a broader question. You have an affinity for boutique gear. And as someone who has toured as long as you have, since '95, right?
Yeah.
Or played out at least, whether you were full blue touring. You have your somewhat bespoke amps and several boutique guitars and pedals. Now, usually what we hear from people who are on the road is like they abandon that kind of thing because if anything happens, they're kind of screwed. How do you handle this?
Well, I can make an AC30 work easily anywhere.
Yeah.
And I have a preference within AC30s, and I rarely get those these days because it's the newer ones that all the rental companies have. But I can make those work. They sound close enough. I can walk up to it, like put the controls exactly where I need them and turn it on, and it'll be good.
Yeah. But I mean, the sour sounds.
Guitar. The sour sounds are just, it's like the low end's a little clearer and the high end's maybe, I don't know. It peaks in a different spot. And so it's something that I've gotten used to that I now prefer maybe a little bit. And they're only 15 watts. So it's just I can get it to break up a little bit easier without, doing any more damage to my ears. Yeah. And the AC30s that I own here and in the UK have all been modded with master volumes anyway, because I had to, just because we don't play loud enough. And so it had that problem of it sounds like nothing, and then it's too loud. Yeah. Right. So this gives me a little bit more play in that. And I get a bit of grit in my cleaner tone. Yeah.
And so pedals and stuff, like, I guess maybe I should clarify when you're on tour, things get banged around, things get messed up, go missing, all that stuff. Like, you have some maybe harder to find items on your pedal board and in your guitar rack. So yeah, are you guys just like, that just doesn't happen to you, or how have you handled that in the past?
We've been very lucky and have never had anything stolen. Things have gone missing a few times, very, very short amounts of time. Airlines, whatever, take extra time delivering things sometimes. But I don't think we could do what we do without what, or we couldn't do it the way we want to do it. Yeah. Without the gear that we take with us. Courtney continually tries to not travel with guitars because he just doesn't want to. And then we'll complain constantly about his, rented guitars not sounding great or the way he's used to. And like nothing sounds like a Fender Coronado. Yeah. Like you can't do that with a 335 or a 330 or a Gretsch or, just not the same, as good as those guitars are.
Huh. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you seem to not be weighed down by damages and everything like that. That's fantastic because I think that's one of the things that we get surprised at when we hear, like, because we all love all the boutique gear and all the the things that make it interesting and the things you get comfortable with. Yeah. And when so many people say, "Oh, I can't take that on the road," it's like, well, isn't that that's kind of the whole part of it, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was like, before the boutique stuff, it was all vintage stuff that we're taking around, and that's scarier to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the boutique stuff. As long as the guy's still making guitars, then you can get another one. Worst case scenario, which could become a best case scenario. Never know.
Oh no, I lost
like that
thing.
Scratch.
Guess I have to get more.
But the vintage stuff, it's like they're each so unique at this point that it's like it's impossible to replace.
Yeah.
I played my 72 SG Deluxe for 20 years and then kind of started freaking out, like, because I had played probably 12 or I don't know, 12, somewhere between 12 and 20 other SG Deluxes, and none of them were even close to the same as mine.
One of the things you mentioned, I've watched a couple of rig rundowns and stuff, and even as you were telling us, the wide range pickups. Is that you seem to favor that? Am I getting that is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I go back and forth. Sometimes there was a moment where I was really liking the Gretsch. Was not
Filtertrons?
No, like was it Powertrons or Supertrons? The ones with the rail instead.
Yeah, that's the Supers. Yeah.
Yeah, those I really like those. But I only liked them in I actually took the set out of the Gretsch that I had and put them in one of the Cubs. And it just wasn't the same. So now I'm trying something else in there. I'm kind of always playing around, but I do always come back to the wide range.
Is that something that you found has been because you just like wide ranges, or because of the mix that that balance you have to find with Courtney?
It probably has something to do with that. There's, in the beginning, I remember we kind of, Courtney had the high end, I had the mid range, and Zia had the low end, and we all did exactly the same thing. And that was kind of how we made our lack of musical ability work. It's changed now quite a bit, but I still occupy kind of that territory, and the wide range has a little bit more or a little clearer higher end.
Yeah,
I find, and then plenty of low end. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I just wanted to. I was wondering, how much, because it's weird when you get into a situation where you're like, I like how this sounds when I'm playing, and then you stand next to your, if you get a new band or something, and you, then you're like, I can't hear my stuff because it sounds exactly like the other guy's stuff.
Oh yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
So.
I think that becomes a little bit of an issue when Courtney and I both are using the AC30s.
Yeah.
The variation between what he uses in the US and what I use is it's distinct enough that and works together in a cool way. And the AC30s, there's points where it's like, if we both kick on the big muff, it's like, who's doing what? No clue.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that you get charged with in your band is, you get to add lots and lots of, for lack of better terms, color to the songs.
Yeah.
I would love to hear, where are you finding either inspiration or is there things that lead you naturally to certain effects to say, oh, if I pull this out, this might actually sound fantastic on this song? Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know that there's a huge amount of thought that goes into it. It's more instinctive, or whatever it is I'm obsessing on. For the longest time, I was trying to make my guitar sound like a synth. And so there was all sorts of the Boss guitar synth pedal and, I don't know. And it's ultimately it's not doing what I wanted the synth, or what I thought the synth part was, or, I essentially wanted my guitar to react like a sequencer. And it, I don't know, there's always this quest for something. So
Do you ever run into when you find it, when you like somebody goes, "Oh yeah, I made a new pedal. I want you to try it out," or you hear some pedal and you don't have a song for it, but I mean, I think this happens to Billy's nodding his head. I know that I literally just did that, where you go, I'm going to use this on something. I don't know what, but
right,
you know, and you probably have loads and loads of pedals at your fingertips for that.
Yeah, but you know, it's when it comes down to it, there's only a few kind of varieties, and then there's different flavors within that. It's like there's fuzz, distortion, and modulation, and delay, and reverb, and everything else is kind of a mix of all those things.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to place what the thought process is, but it's more like something pops into the head, and I go, oh, I'll grab that. And most of the time, that's what ends up on the record. Yeah.
Well, that actually probably leads us into a whole bunch of other questions here. You have 13 albums, a whole bunch of EPs and singles, all sorts of collaborations. That's just for the Dandy Warhols.
Yes.
You also have your own project called Pete International Airport. We'll talk about that in a second. But going back to the 13 albums, I got to know what your favorite was to actually create.
So there's a reason I always say 13 Tales, and it's because it really was there was a point that happened right after that where everything changed. And it wasn't just the success we got from Bohemian Like You, which is part of it for sure, because that changed our approach to every song ever after that. I think you have a hit of any of that kind of magnitude that you will be changed no matter what. Mm-hmm. But that was the record that kind of is the dividing line between digital for us, like Pro Tools, and non-Pro Tools. 13 Tales was started on, I think, ADATs and a digital recorder, but it went through every format possible. And at one point we saw it go through Pro Tools, and that was kind of a completely new thing for us to see, like the level of what you could do to sound. And anything after that, the songs were just built in the studio. You know, it's like somebody would come in with a demo, usually Courtney, and we would just build on top of that. Whereas before that, he would teach us how to play the chords and whatever, and we would bash it out in a rehearsal room and then go record it. Mm-hmm. So it's really like this kind of nostalgic kind of feeling for that time. Not that I would ever really want to go back to it, but you know, it was nice. Things were simpler.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a couple good songs on that one.
Yeah, and there's some great songs.
There's some fantastic songs. That's an epic album, man.
Yeah. But I do really, really like this latest one, Rock Maker.
Yes.
There's a lot on that was like really, really fun, and some new kind of approaches.
It's so different. It's so different. You know, at least from my standpoint, it's probably maybe the most different that if I think of all of them all together. And it actually reminded me when I went through it, it reminded me of Semper Fidelis from Distortland.
Sure. Yeah.
There was like, because that was a kind of an odd duck in that album. I was like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, Peter, how would you describe the new record? I mean, I listened to it and I'm like, have I heard this back in the 80s or 90s? And I'm like, it's just the 2000s. It's just modern. It's just like something that they're playing at the raves now. I don't know. It kind of blew my mind. I don't know. How would you describe it?
Yeah. I mean, the idea was that we were making a rock record, and we were kind of going back to mostly guitars and guitars that sound like guitars, and that the songs all started with a riff.
Yeah.
As opposed to the way it normally happened, where the riff would come later and everything started with a chord change and a melody. So it was just I mean, it's just a twist, and I think a lot of people probably write that way, but it was new for us. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Especially like some of the what?
I'm sorry. I think you were about to just dip into what I was going to ask you, but go ahead.
Like just trying to go some of the more extreme metal type riffs and then turn those into a Dandy song, where it was a fun challenge.
You could hear that in that. And you also have the collaborations with Debbie Harry, Frank Black, and Slash.
Yes. Yeah.
Give us a little insight on that experience.
Well, I wish I wish there was more of an experience, because it's all done remotely these days. So it's more of, you send it off and you just cross your fingers and hold your breath that it's going to be what you want it to be. And we got very, very lucky, and it was more than we could possibly hope for.
Yeah.
I mean, Slash was absolutely perfect. Frank Black nailed it, just finding the perfect little moment of clarity in that chaos of a song. And then Debbie that just blows me away.
Yeah. That's got to be a bit of a highlight.
Career highlight. It's not something I even had on my bucket list, because I didn't think it would ever been possible.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
amazing.
Have Debbie Harry sing on a song that I wrote. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, mission accomplished, because I'm in the shower and going, I'd like to help you with your problem. It sounds great in the shower. Probably better than me singing it out of the shower.
Everything sounds better in the shower.
Yeah.
Are you trying to audition, Todd?
No. Yes. No.
Okay. So I was right. I did hear that song in the 80s in the shower.
Yes. So speaking of collaborations, is there anybody that you would like to collaborate in the future with the Dandies, or even with like Pete International Airport?
The list for PIA is pretty long. I kind of keep that mostly singers, since I don't sing, and that's kind of the whole, like, the fun part for me is like when I get a song to a certain point, kind of thinking about who would be right for it.
That's a unique position as a player.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I've definitely, like, there's been times where I haven't gone the most obvious route. And I sort of wonder why. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But the results are always amazing. I've been kind of blessed with some of the people that have said yes when I've sent them tracks.
So that actually.
There are.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you had asked for any names.
Yes.
I suppose Jim Reed from Jesus and Mary Chain is somebody I would love to have on a record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
there's others, but let's stick with Jim.
We'll put in a call for you. How about that?
See, there was the 90s reference.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Go on, nice.
You know that I don't know how many people that I mean, I didn't learn about Peter International Airport until, actually pretty recently. And it's when I heard it was funny because I was like, what am I hearing? I feel like, and it took me a while. I kind of put my finger on it. It reminds me a lot of the project that Eric Avery did, Polar Bear. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So he had, and actually, in Deconstruction. So Polar Bear was with, I just forgot his name from Porno for Pyros. But anyways, his pal from there. And then Deconstruction was with Dave Navarro. But it's a very eclectic and dialed back way of doing things. And it was so weird because when I figured that out, I was like, wow, these are really similar. Not necessarily like song for song, but just your approach. Yeah. I was like, you just said, I can do everything and anything. As long as it fits within my taste.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's certain things that work with the Dandies. And for the longest time, I was getting a lot of pushback from every time I tried alternate tunings. And I find that I come up with more ideas with alternate tunings because I don't know what I'm doing. So I might accidentally stumble into something that's cool. And so that's essentially the whole PIA catalog is, it's probably 90% alternate tunings.
Wow.
And every once in a while there's something in Open G or something like that in the Dandies. Except this last record, which pretty much everything I brought in is an alternate tuning. But yeah, like a lot of times I found that, you just put your fingers in a shape and move it up and down the neck until it sounds good, and try moving it around a few more times, find like 3 places, and then figure out a cool pattern that those 3 chords, go together, and you've got the start of something. And a lot of times those chords, if you played them on a piano, it would be jazz. I don't know. It wouldn't be rock chords. And I just found that really interesting because it's not something I would even know how to play in standard tuning. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know, just fascinating. So
how does that set you up for, I'm going to take a leap and figure that it's probably a little bit freeing or leaves you a little bit more open, because if you're making songs for the Dandies all the time, and if you have this side thing, does that stimulate new avenues for you for Dandies, or do you really just keep those very separate?
For years it's been very separate. Where there wasn't a place for what I was doing in the Dandies. And I mean, that's fine because I sort of had to learn how I guess I had to learn how to be a songwriter, a better composer, or however you want to, phrase it. And that's what PIA allowed me to do. It's all up to me. I had to make it all work. And, and now I think the line is, I don't know where the line is anymore. Cause I mean, the Debbie Harry song is kind of a PIA song. It's like this, it's very much the same kind of structure. It's, I don't know. There's some of the way I put in the the sort of support guitar tracks, and I had our friend Corey Gray come play piano, and he's all over PIA tracks, the last couple albums.
Right.
So it's like there's definitely, yeah. Now I don't know. There won't be a thing that happens where you go, that is a PIA song or that is a Dandy song. Now I'll have to, think about it a little bit more.
Got a couple questions left for you here.
All right.
I think these are related. This 1 and 2 are related, but I think starting out with, like, you guys have lasted through several waves of music, and been able to stay true to yourself without just repeating. For those who are listening and who are trying to do that themselves, do you have any wisdom to share on how to keep that going?
I don't know. Our short attention spans and never wanting to create what we're hearing. So we've never tried to jump on a bandwagon. It's like when 13 Tails comes out, and then 2 years later it's the Strokes and Black Rebel and White Stripes and Jet and the Vines and all those like guitar bands. And we've moved on to doing a synth record. It's kind of because we were hearing, there wasn't that thing that we were missing, that was interesting, to us. So it's always that kind of whatever we're not hearing is what we want to try and do. And these days everything is accessible to everybody all the time. So it's really just what we're hearing and not necessarily what's out there.
Right.
And maybe because of that, we timed our record right for the first time.
Interesting. Well, that kind of gave me a weird visual where, so my daughter does puzzles all the time, and I think if you think of your body of work as the puzzle, a good puzzle person isn't going to sit there and go, look at this almost complete thing I've done. I just want to keep looking at that. No, they go, there's a hole there. Where's the piece?
Yeah. There's so much more that music is endless. And it's like you can change everything with one effects pedal. There's so much inspiration and there's lots of people doing cool things and I don't know, as long as you're not trying to directly copy somebody, it's like you're going to come up with some cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of copying and all that business, I got to ask, you are in one of the premier guitar bands of, the last couple of decades. What is your view on the state of guitar music right now?
I don't know. There seems like there's lots of people playing guitars. Maybe not as many as there used to be, but that's fine. I don't think it's going to go away.
Well, that leaves more guitars for the rest of us to buy.
Exactly.
True.
There are so many guitars. I don't think there will ever be. I don't think we'll ever run out.
Yeah, but what's your holy grail of a guitar?
I don't know. There used to be a few things that I really, really wanted. They're not practical, so I don't know if I'll ever get one. But like the ES-295, the gold Gibson.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that because I'm not a Les Paul person, but I love the way the old gold finish looks. Especially when it's like turning green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a beautiful look.
Yeah.
I worked with Gibson on a Guitar of the Month project. It was a Les Paul, but it was a gold top, and I did the pick guards for them.
Oh, cool.
And so we did those, that floral.
Oh, that's you, huh?
That's me. You got one of those?
No, as I said, I'm not a Les Paul person, so.
That's okay. Yeah. But yeah, the 295s those are really cool guitars.
Yeah, otherwise it's like there kind of isn't anything else at this point. I've gotten so many of the things that were on my list, and then they didn't live up to what I wanted, and got rid of them. And yeah, and then I've just sort of kept what I really actually use. And
that's cool.
With Saul's guitars, I really don't. I don't really look at vintage stuff anymore because it's just not as useful as what I need, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, find a good Ponzi scheme to put your money into. That's better. Do that.
Bitcoin. Get some Bitcoin. That's
Tony, you want to take the last one?
No, I think I've got all the questions that I had.
Okay. All right.
You got one more?
Well, I'm just curious. You have you've done the fantastic Dandy Warhols. You have your own project. You've done all kinds of countless things, and you've toured the world. I'm curious, is there anything that you are especially proud of or most satisfied with as a musician or guitar player?
Most proud of. I mean, just sort of. I don't know if there's one thing or not. I mean, I'm definitely very proud of this latest record, as well as the latest PIA record. And there's another record with a band I play bass and produce in called Sun Atoms, which is also. I'm going to be very, very proud of it when it's done.
Sun Atoms, SUNAT.
OMS, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know. I don't really look back too much, so it's always kind of looking towards the next thing. Cool. Yeah, I recently got to do the soundtrack to a video game too, or half the music for a video game. And that was incredibly fun and challenging and opened up all sorts of new creative, paths. So now I want to do a TV theme song and I want a film soundtrack. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Nice. Danny Elfman, look out.
I'm trying to manifest it.
Well, that's cool, man. I really appreciate all the things that you shared with us. We've had so much fun talking. We have one more segment that is, usually pretty fun. I hope this one's fun. Tony, is this going to be fun or not?
Oh, this is going to be fun. Because at this point of the show is a little game we like to play called Would You Rather? Now,
all right.
This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by our good friend and executive producer, Gregory Randall. And he writes, "Yep, I get it. Y'all are tired of Professor Squeaky Bellow's antics.
Yes.
Let's meet a new character." Okay. So you're walking down the street because you're stuck. No new lyrics, no new riffs, no new chord progressions, and you go for a walk to clear your mind. Turning a corner, you see a store with a sign that says Musician Master Pharmacy. Intrigued, you go in and meet Fred Fretless, the friendly pharmacologist. I guess Gregory likes alliteration.
Yes.
You tell him about your dilemma, and he has just developed 2 new pills that can help you. Ooh. The first pill is named "Excuse Me While I Kiss This Guy," And if you take this pill, you'll be able to write amazing licks, chord progressions, and riffs that even Jimi Hendrix would envy. Once you take it, the effect will only last 3 hours. The second pill is named I Wanna Hold Your Ham. That's ham, like the meat. If you take this pill, you'll be able to write amazing lyrics that would make John and Paul jealous. This pill's effect also lasts for only 3 hours. You can only take one drug, and drug interactions might also include disco music. So would you rather take pill 1 or pill 2?
Oh, boy.
I'd have to say pill 2 because I have absolutely no skill at putting words together. And that would be a nice change. And then I could collaborate with all the guitar players that I want to collaborate with.
There you go. Billy, how about yourself?
So basically, Jimi Hendrix pill or Beatles pill.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the Beatles also. Because...
Well, one is for lyrics, and the other is for the
lyrics.
Yeah.
Just the words, not the melodies. Just the
Not
words.
the melodies. That's pill 1.
Oh, well, I want a pill from melodies. That's pill number 3.
Okay, that's pill 1.
Now, is it? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Melodies. Yeah. Melodies.
Melodies for 1,000, Alex.
Melodies, because I've been diving deep into old Beatles stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like their voices are like so soft on like lower parts, and then they can just effortlessly go up high, and it's like, and it's so effective, and it sounds like they're like, like I don't know, like screaming rock and rollers, and it's like, it's just this beautiful mix of like chest and head voice that I'm, I've been studying a lot lately. So
okay,
yeah.
So Jimi Hendrix,
yeah. Hey Joe,
Tony.
I really enjoy. I think the lyrics sometimes more. I love a good, clever lyrics like Elvis Costello and his double entendre lyrics. I just love stuff like that. So I'm going to go with pill number 2.
Those have a double meaning, right?
Really? Is that what that means? Thanks for pointing that
Bon
out.
Scott used triple meaning.
Yes. True.
So yes, no pill 2 for me. How about you, Todd?
I'm going pill 2 as well because I could use that right now. Actually, I'm in a bit of a jam when it comes to that. So we're trying to sort that out. Yes, give me 2 pill 2s. I'll double dose that. I can handle it.
When one is never enough.
Yes, Gregory Randall, thank you so much for sending that in. We truly, truly appreciate that.
That was a good one. I actually enjoyed it. Because at this point of the show...
Tony, we got a few people to thank.
That's right, Todd, because at this part of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a sponsor, a patron, a hero. Yes, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win great prizes. We're talking about giving away all these warm audio pedals. You want one? Head over to patreon.com. You'll find out how. But there's one thing more in addition to all that great stuff. What would that be? That's right. Your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Michael Furman, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, author of today's Would You Rather. Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, and Tom Brazen.
Whee!
And Sean Essa. Yes, but there's more, Todd, because there's a special group of executive producers.
That's what we need. We need more Todd, right? No?
Less Todd. Yes, Todd. Less Todd.
Oh. Oh, I see where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Yes, we like to call these fine folks our grand poobahs. They're the A number ones, the king of the hills, top of the heaps. What else are they?
A number one.
Like I said, less Todd.
Oh.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Adam Johnson, Anthony Gemolero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Whee!
What?
No, that.
Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Science of Sound, Steve Keys, Tyler Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, and Jimmy Newton. Thank you.
Jimmy Newton. Welcome. Well. Man, I really am so happy to have met you and talked to you, and I'm so grateful that you shared your time with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun to talk about it from this perspective as opposed to the usual sort of typical, music outlet.
I just have to thank you as a huge fan for creating so much fantastic music that I have driven so many miles to. It's like, I mean, you can't go wrong. You put in Dandy Warhols and you drive. It's like wherever you end up, just go. It's great. I love it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And
that's one of the reasons we make music.
Excellent. Now, you have a couple projects. Can you tell us about what you're doing, where to go get the things, do any plugs you need to plug?
I guess currently there's the Pete International Airport. I put out a new record last June. It's got an amazing group of collaborators, guest singers. Rachel from Slowdive sings on a song. Ooh. And Lisa L. from a band called Dark Horses sings on a song. My friend Jason Adams, Dion, who was the bass player for Place to Bury Strangers for a bit, now out on his own, Dion Lunadon. He's on there too. Yeah, so there's that project called Sun Adams, which is with the singer Jason Adams, which is now a band, started as a pandemic project, is in the midst of mixing its second record and playing locally.
Nice.
Very, 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 very fun. I did the music for half the music for the latest version of Forza, which is a big racing game.
Yeah.
From Microsoft. Yeah. And the Dandies. What else? I think that's. Oh, I've got a project with a friend in the UK called Walls of Dada.
Whoa.
Which is very freeform and experimental at the moment. We've played 2 shows, and each time we've gone in not knowing what's going to happen and just kind of performed. But we've got like four or five records. which are all created kind of the same way. Like he sends me a stereo track. I put some stuff on it, send it back to him, and it's done. It's very nice having something that moves that quickly as opposed to everything else, which takes years.
Yeah. Now, is that data like data or data like the movement?
Data like the movement. Yeah. Walls of data.
Walls of data. Yeah. Whoo-wee. Man, I'm sure glad we talked to you because look at all this new music we found. Holy mackerel.
We can go on a long drive.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
For sure.
Tanya Bolonsky, a.k.a. Tony Baloney, the Pick Guardian. Where can people find the things that you do?
Quite easy, Todd. You head over to pickguardian.com, check out the wares I have available for purchase. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, the colors, all the stuff. And I will take very good care of you.
If you need your guitar to be even more your guitar, that's what you need to do. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yes.
Make a T-shirt out of that.
That's
Billy?
right. I got one with a signature.
Yes.
My signature.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Cool.
I don't have that.
Yes, he did.
Do that.
Yeah.
Billy, where can people find the things that you're doing?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and places like that under Billy Spitfire and Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Yes.
Good. Also, if you're interested in my music world, Mathematics. That's Mathematics from Columbus, Ohio.
There you go.
The Flynns, a Rolling Stones cover band.
Yeah.
The Devil's Payroll.
Can people listen to that somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Look up Reverend C. Love Barton.
Okay. Reverend C. Love Barton.
C. Barton Love. I'm messing it all up.
Yeah.
I'm screwing it all up.
Yeah, we'll just...
Never mind that band.
Never mind that one. Okay, hey, everybody. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. I would love to hear from you. We would love to get some Would You Rathers up in this mug. If you can outdo the last one you heard, well, we just dare you. And also, please, as you're driving around, instead of road raging, just put on the Valentinos. It's like the same thing. It's just not against other people. You can rage inside your own car. Yeah, some good old rock and roll show. Anyways, we gotta go. That's an old Bay City Rollers thing. Thank you so much, Peter. Have a fantastic guitar week, everybody, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Stop touching it. Okay. Tony, go ahead. What is that? Is that a cat? Thank you.
No, that's not right.
Yeah. What? That's a sorry-ass clap.
I had to think about that for a while.
I'm telling you, it's gold. It's gold, Jerry.
It's not. It's garbage, Jerry. Yeah.
Remember when you were in the Beatles? That was pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Their intro. Okay.
Oh my God.
Hang on. Clicking.
I guess.
What the hell? Stop it. What is that? And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.